Hi, everyone. Welcome to BuzzBook Expo. I'm sorry that we are running a couple minutes late. It's completely my fault. It was a technical issue on my end with my GPS. It's a long story. Anyway, welcome everybody to BuzzBook Expo. We're really excited for the schedule that we have for the next 2 days. We've got some giveaways. We've got some commercials. We've got some interesting revelations from various publishers throughout the course of the schedule. And we're really excited to have everybody here. So I would just like to shout out to my committee members. They're still working on some technical aspects of getting in here, but Matt Wilderson, who's handling the all of the tech end of things, and Summer Cannon, who's been a fantastic liaison to our publishers and to our media folks. And in about 4 minutes, we're going to have our first publisher, Apex, is going to come in and talk about their new releases and what we can expect from them in the future. It's going to be fun. There was a slight change in schedule. I wanted to mention that Tor Nightfire couldn't make it. They had a scheduling conflict. So we've rearranged the schedule slightly. Crystal Lake is going to be in that time slot. And at the end of today, the committee and I are going to talk a little bit about BuzzBook and about what we hope to accomplish in the future, where we hope this is going to go, what publishers can expect in terms of content that's given to them leading up to the expo, and information on how to put in commercials and that kind of stuff. So it's going to be fun. We're going to have I think a pretty good show. I'm really excited about it, and I'm really pleased to see that people are here and that they're excited about the announcements that we have over the course of the next 2 days. So I will be looking forward to that. In another 3 minutes, we're going to go live with Apex, and I'm going to bounce out of here, I think, shortly. And so just stay tuned for 12:10. We'll have we'll have Apex come in. Sorry if I seem a little flustered. It's still the morning. It's still the morning for me technically, and I'm still drinking my first tea. So anyway, we're looking forward to.
That's me. Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say.
I'm working with stuff. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. Matt's working on stuff to make everything run smoothly and to get things going. And I'm very excited. So if you have any questions, that's another thing I wanted to point out. I almost forgot. Good thing you all reminded me. If you have any questions for the publishers or for us over the course of the day, just let us know. You can leave them in comments. We would prefer if you could tag them with all caps that say question prior to whatever question you're going to ask. It just makes it easier for us as we're monitoring the live feed on the side, the chat on the side, that we don't miss your questions, that we manage to relay your questions to the publishers, or that we can answer them ourselves. So just let us know what kind of questions you have, and we will pop them up on the screen here so that the publishers can answer them. Anything you can think of, Matt?
Bear with me.
Okay.
Trying to get everything together, make sure the experience is great for everybody.
Yes, in case you can't hear, I think you probably can, but in case you can't, Matt is working on making sure that everything is running smoothly, and that we have all the technical stuff in advance so that we can bring you the best show possible. We're very very excited, really.
Yeah.
And we're just waiting on Apex now to log in, and then we should have that for you. I think in the meantime, I'm going to pop out of here, but don't go anywhere, because we will be back with some publisher goodies. Sorry, my mic was muted. Just popping in to say that we're working on a couple of things. We're waiting for Apex, and we will be back. We'll be back soon. So hang in there, and we'll be back in a little bit. Hi, everyone. While we're waiting, I just wanted to let you know about our first giveaway of the day. We have a giveaway from Tor Nightfire for Catriona Ward's new book, The Last House on Needless Street. And they will be giving away 25 ARC copies of this brand new book, which was blurbed by Stephen King as "The buzz is real. I've read it and was blown away. It's a true nerve shredder that keeps its mind-blowing secrets until the very end." That is Stephen King's blurb on this book. It is her new novel out from Tor Nightfire. If you are interested in this particular giveaway, let us know in the chat, and it'll be first come, first serve. The first 25 people to tag us in the comments saying that they would like a copy of this ARC for this new book, The Last House on Needless Street by Catriona Ward. Let us know. That's our first giveaway of the weekend, and I anticipate that there will probably be some more. We seem to have something of a scheduling conflict. We're working on ironing that out as we speak, and hopefully we will be able to bring you Apex books soon. If not, then I will be back in a few minutes to talk a little bit more about BuzzBook. I mean, our official presentation, as we mentioned, will be at the end of today, where we will give you information about what we hope that BuzzBook will do in the future, information for publishers who want to be more involved in BuzzBook, what they can expect in future expos. We will have some information for our media folks about subscribing to the YouTube channel or being on a mailing list to know about BuzzBook updates in advance. We have all kinds of cool stuff to talk about toward the end of the day. So we will be getting back to you in a few minutes. I am going to pop out of here for a second, check on the situation, and I will be right back. Hi, everyone. Just wanted to pop in and answer some questions that are popping up. We anticipate that there will be a list of books on the website. I just wanted to pop in to answer some questions that are popping up. We anticipate Summer will take care of it on the website. It should be up there by at least probably by the end of the weekend, because we don't want to give away too many surprises before we know about them. I'm seeing that there's some interest for the Tor Nightfire book, The Last House on Needless Street by Catriona Ward. If you're interested, I've got your names down. If you could do me a favor and email info@buzzbookexpo.com, that would, and just give us your mailing address where you want the book to be sent, and we'll take care of it. It looks like we have a scheduling issue with Apex. Now, the next segment is supposed to start at 12:50. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about BuzzBook. Again, not a whole lot about what, all the new stuff that we want to talk to you about later on. But still, in case you are new to the BuzzBook Expo and what it is about, our goal is to create a fully online experience where we can give publishers from all over the world a chance to talk about their new horror releases for the upcoming year. And the way we've been doing it is that runs from about September of the year where we're running the expo to the end of the following year. So this will be books that are or either recently come out or are coming out sometime between this month and the end of 2022. Our focus is specifically on horror, but we consider this to include paranormal and supernatural thrillers, a little bit of dark fantasy, as long as there's sort of a horror slant to it, genre blends, again, as long as the focus is primarily on horror, and even nonfiction books about the horror genre. This can be extended to include horror poetry, anything basically that falls under the horror fiction genre, the written word of horror. We would like to give a platform to diverse voices, bringing new kinds of horror to readers through presentations, Q&As, interviews, giveaways. We've had people do demonstrations. We've had them do brief readings, things like that, where we can show you what's coming up in horror and make you excited about it. If you are a horror publisher and you would like to be involved next year, please, by all means, contact us at info@buzzbookexpo.com. If you want to be kept up to date on the updates, again, email us at info@buzzbookexpo.com, and we can tell us if you're a media person who would like information about attending future BuzzBook Expos. Attendance at BuzzBook Expo is free. I think if you're on here, you probably already know that, but we want to make that clear that it's free to attend, it's free to participate, and we welcome full participation from the audience during this event. We welcome questions, we welcome ideas that you have, and if you are interested but unable to attend the entire Expo, that's okay. We're recording this event today and we're recording it tomorrow. And if you go to the website, there are links to past BuzzBook Expos. On this particular YouTube channel, the BuzzBook Expo channel, in the playlists is everything that we have accumulated so far that is BuzzBook related. That's people's commercials and the BuzzBook Expos from last year. Coming up, just so you have an idea of the schedule coming up, we have Crystal Lake Publishing, and they're going to be talking about, they have some authors who are going to be talking about the books that they have coming out from Crystal Lake. We have Thunderstorm Books. We have Erie River Publishing, St. Rooster Books, and again, at the end of the day, our presentation. That's for today. For tomorrow, we'll have another bit of blurbage by me at the beginning of the day, just to reiterate what BuzzBook Expo is about and what we hope to accomplish, followed by Bad Hound Books, Apocrypha, D&T Publishing, Bleeding Edge Books, and Madness Heart Press. So folks will see that there's a nice mix of people from last year and some new faces and new names, and we're excited about the entire the entire presentation. So I'm going to, if there's any questions right now about the schedule or anything about BuzzBook, let me know. I'll give it a couple minutes for the chat to catch up. Again, I'm glad to see people, asking questions and people interested in the arc of The Last House on Needless Street by Catriona Ward that Tor Nightfire is giving away 25 ARC copies of. And we're looking forward to seeing some questions from you guys and participation in the giveaways and other things that we've got going on. It's going to be a lot of fun. So hang in there, and I'll be back in a few minutes, and we'll chat some more, and then you will have Crystal Lake Publishing's presentation. Hello, folks. I'm back in to check on everybody. We are cruising along, and so far we have a great schedule. If you're just logging in now, this is our second annual BuzzBook Expo, where we are hoping to bring a platform to publishers from all over the world where they can talk about the different releases that they have that are coming out between now and December of 2022. And we're looking forward to the presentations people have this weekend. If you have any questions, I just want to remind you that you can ask them in the chat from the YouTube chat here. Just tag them with the word question in the beginning so that we don't miss them. We're monitoring the chat here, and we just want to make sure that we catch your questions and that the questions go. If you have questions for publishers, if you have questions for me or Matt or Summer, just let us know, put them in the chat, and we will get an answer for you. If you are interested in the arc of Last House on Needless Street by Catriona Ward, which Tor Nightfire is publishing and giving away an ARC copy of, there are going to be 25 of them. First come, first serve. Mention it here on the chat, and then if you could, please email us at info@buzzbookexpo.com with the mailing address that you would like us to use so that we can make sure we get you your copy. And another question that had been asked earlier about the giveaways, we will be putting the giveaway information up on the website probably by the end of the weekend, later today, when we'll get it to you so that it's up on the website and you have whatever information you need. Our next scheduled presentation is going to be in 10 minutes. And in the meantime, we are going to be running some commercials from last year, which I'm hoping will give publishers and the media folks that are here and the readers that are here that are watching some information on books that were presented at last year's BuzzBook Expo, and that it will keep you amused and entertained, which is our goal, for the next 10 minutes. And then at 12:50, we will have our next presentation, which will be from Crystal Lake Publishing. And we're looking forward to seeing you all, and hope you enjoy what's coming up next.
Some songs stick in your head. Others consume your soul. Others consume your soul. Others consume your soul. Others consume your soul. Others consume your soul.
Hi, folks.
Pardon?
Ooh, spooky. It's all good. we're we're excited to be able to present in a minute or so the presentation from Crystal Lake Publishing. They are going to they have a pre-recorded the pre-recorded presentation, so we can try to field any questions that you might have, but we don't have Crystal Lake physically in the chat to answer questions for you. However, the presentation, we've reviewed it obviously, and the presentation shows some information about Crystal Lake Publishing and and these books that are coming out, and the authors are talking about their books that are coming out from Crystal Lake, and they are each going to do a brief little reading so you get a taste of what the books are about. So I think it'll be a lot of fun, and I'll just check with Matt that the video is ready to go. And all right, looks like everything is good to go. I'm going to add to the stream, and I'm going to bounce out of here. So enjoy.
Hi, I'm Christina Bergling, author of the book Followers, released by Crystal Lake Publishing. I'm going to talk a little bit about the book and then read a little bit from the book. So, the basic plot for Followers is Sydney is a divorced mother and she loves the horror genre. She uses it as an escape from her disappointing life. So she escapes into horror movies and writing about them, reviewing them, taking horror pictures, and she wants to use that to kind of change her situation and get out of her dead-end job. So she immerses herself in horror day to day, and she does a lot of that online. And in the course of this, she connects with a lot of people. It's another means of escape and develops a bunch of followers in the virtual world. Then those followers tend to cross over into her real life, bringing some horror with them. And that's the basic plot. So the more overarching themes, what Followers is about for me as the author is questioning loving the horror genre. I've loved horror my whole life, ever since I was a little kid, obsessed with Halloween for no reason. I've always been drawn to the macabre and to things that are dark or scary. And so I've been asked my whole life why I love the horror genre. So in this book, I kind of wanted to explore those questions that I get asked a lot, like how can you love something dark and disturbing and violent, and could you still love it if horror happened in your real life? So I created a character who loved the genre and had horror crossover into her real life and had her wrestle with that very question. And additionally, I wanted to add in a layer of the online element. So can horror be online? How is horror online now that we live online so much? So much of our lives are virtual, particularly with quarantines and lockdowns and what have you. So those two main themes were the undercurrent for Followers for me, but intermixed in all that is a lot of horror genre worship and references and just things that I love. I put in a horror film festival because that's a large part of my horror loving experience. I nodded at a bunch of movies that I enjoy, dropped in a bunch of character names, all sort of things, just loving the horror genre. I'm going to read you an excerpt from Followers. In this scene, Sydney is encountering some of her online followers in real life. The haze of the alcohol hugged Sydney's consciousness. She straddled the line between her fading intoxication and threatening hangover as she had to put thought into her movements. Her heart thumped in her chest long before she reached the gravel trail along the creek. It started pounding the second she considered lingering on the sheets. It rattled her ribs in some contradiction of regret and purpose. She told herself she was hurrying home to not worry Wes, yet something in the terrible rhythm of her pulse chanted that she did it to run from herself. Her skin prickled as her hurried steps scraped along the dirt. She wrapped her arms tightly around herself, and her messenger bag bounced violently against her side. She knew to ignore the rubbing sound this time, yet that knowledge did not stop all her senses from reaching out in desperate caution. Calm down, she told herself. You were fine last night. You'll be fine tonight. You can already see the condo. Just breathe, crazy. The parking lot of her condo expanded as she drew closer. Gradually, she loosened her grip on her own hoodie. She breathed slower and slower. Then the deep splash rippled up from the creek beside her. Sydney seized. Despite her vigilance, her fear strangled her. Her steps ground to a stuttering halt as her eyes scraped through the darkness. The second plopping splash brought her awareness back to her flesh. By the time the branches whined and snapped, her legs had instinctively started to run toward the dim lights on her condo. But not quick enough. The sound moved through the darkness unimaginably fast. A second set of feet threw crunching slaps on the gravel. Small stones ricocheted out into the night. Sydney found herself clawing through the air, groping into the night, hoping it would propel her forward. Even over her own ragged gasps and banging nerves, she heard the footsteps gaining on her. Two hands materialized out of the black behind her. Seizing handfuls of her hoodie, fingertips dug into her and yanked her from her run. Her hands splayed out into the impact as she tumbled violently to the dirt. She felt the gravel bite and scrape into her palms, felt the horrible burn as friction rubbed through layers of flesh to blood. As she collided with the ground, a body fell on top of her. She felt the weight on her, the same way she had just felt Adam on top of her. She kicked against the pressure and dug her nails into the dirt, trying to scramble out from under it. Hands groped on her again, grabbing at her arms, hips, legs as she squirmed, her muscles and lungs burning painfully. She gulped at the air but found it infected. The pungent aroma of disinfectant burned at her nostrils, practically manifesting artificial lemons on her tongue. The acidic bitterness made her choke. Tears welled in her eyes from panic and the burn. She felt nothing. She only kept bringing her eyes back to the condo, her safety. Her attacker climbed her body, gripping and wriggling up her, working to pin her down. Sydney kicked her legs, thrashed wildly. Her mind was blank, primal, disconnected from her frantic flesh, detached from the attack. Distantly, she felt rocks digging into her hip as her attacker pressed down harder on top of her. Somewhere, beneath the flurry, her hand found its way into her bag. Her fingertips groped through the contents until they wrapped around the handle of the empty vodka bottle. She permitted her attacker's hands to roll her to her back. She swung her arm around with the movement to crack the bottle against them. The heavy thunk of the collision echoed in the night. The sounds of their struggle faded into the muffled groans from the body on top of her. Her attacker's hands released to cradle where the blow had landed. Without thought, Sydney capitalized. She heaved the bottle back up and slammed it into the form again. Her attacker appeared faceless and vague in the dark, shrouded by the licking edge of the shadows. The dark shape of something human grabbed at her, yet no matter how Sydney squinted at the darkness, no details came into focus. The movements, the sounds were familiar. She knew a person was on top of her. Who that person was meant nothing to her in that moment. As her attacker howled and rolled off of her, she dropped the bottle. She scrambled to her feet and ran the same sprint as the previous dark night, her panic turning her vision into a blur. So Sydney goes total white girl in a horror movie and decides to walk alone in the woods at night. If you want to see how that goes, you're going to have to read Followers for yourself. So go ahead and find the links to get your own copy.
This is my grandmother Ethel. This is my grandfather Eliezer. This is my mother Maya. They're all dead now. My grandfather died at the age of 26. He was killed in the Battle of Kiev during the Nazi invasion of the USSR. He has no grave. His body was never recovered. My grandmother was a lawyer and a judge in the USSR. She died at the age of 96, and she is buried in the Holy Land. My mother was a writer and a dissident. She is buried on the Mount of Olives in Jerusalem. The country that my family lived for, died for, and fought against no longer exists. It fell apart exactly 30 years ago. The day her father was arrested, Svetlana lost her notebook. The notebook was important because all the latest definitions were there, written down in her careful round script. She searched for it everywhere. Under the roll top of her desk were balls of blotting papers, nested like spider eggs. At the bottom of her satchel, where she discovered an ink-stained white ribbon. On the floor of the classroom, crawling between the rows of desks until she was chased away by old Aunt Sonia, the cleaner. She could not find the notebook and went home downcast. She could always ask her best friend Tati. But Tati lived 5 streets away, and the winter day was drawing to a close. The sky was like a dusty ball, filling with darkness. It was at night when the Oberordner came out and prowled the streets. Through the patrols of light were there to protect the workers coming home from the late shifts. Children were strongly discouraged venturing outside after dark, even if, like Svetlana, they no longer considered themselves children. A snowball hit her between the shoulder blades, and cold wetness trickled down through a rent in her old coat. The boy had dived into the gaping mouth of a house, but she had seen enough of his face to know him for Misha, one of her classmates, rather than something more sinister, lazy, stupid, good for nothing. Well, if anybody was destined to be caught by an Oberordner, it was him. Svetlana defiantly stuck out her tongue and hurried on. A heavy hand landed on her shoulder. "Little sister," said a hoarse voice, and a cloud of warm tobacco smell enveloped her. "Where is the nearest door?" And here is something more about the novella. I love superhero movies. And superhero movies, it's always easy to know who you are fighting against, but it's not always so easy to understand what the hero is fighting for. And in this sense, my grandfather was a superhero. He died fighting back absolute evil, fighting back Nazism. And as tragic as his death is, he died at the age of 26. He was a child, basically. He never saw his daughter grow up, let alone knowing anything about his granddaughter or his great-grandsons, my children. But still, he was a hero. But what happened when the war was over and people came back, and they came back to a country ruled by a dictator, Stalin, who in so many ways was as bad as Hitler? I don't know. I don't know what to say. I want you to think about it as you're reading this novella. I want you to think about what it means being a hero in a world with no black and white, no good and evil, but only the degrees, gradations of gray.
Hello, everyone at Book Buzz Expo. My name is Kevin Lucia, and I'm Joe Meinhardt has graciously offered me a 10-minute slot on Crystal Lake's video for Book Buzz Expo. So I'm going to take a little time to talk about my newest book, which is coming out just in time for Halloween, called October Nights. It's a novella quartet with 4 novellas, all Halloween tales that take place in my little mythical town of Clifton Heights, New York. I got to be honest, I'm a little nervous. I'm always a little nervous, obviously, with book releases, but Halloween is one of my favorite times of year. I mean, honestly, I start celebrating at September 1st. So I've always wanted to, we have a visitor, I've always wanted to write a Halloween themed book. And it came together in this last year, and Crystal Lake was, I'm very thankful that Crystal Lake was willing to take on another one of my books. But I'm a little nervous because I hope that, these are stories, all the stories I write are very personal in nature. And we have a little visitor here again. They're very personal in nature. So this is my take on Halloween, so I as one of those things where I'm sure the collection will resonate with some folks. Some folks will read it and go, these aren't Halloween stories. So, and so I'm obviously a little bit nervous about that. As always, I like to use the little wraparound device with my fictional author, Gavin Patchett, who, as happens so often to him, he comes into possession of a journal, of stories taking place in Clifton Heights. And that's what we have, for the collection. Another thing that I'm really anxious to see is one of the stories in there is probably one of the most experimental things I've ever written. It's called The Last Will and Testament of the Not So Good Reverend Ford. It's, again, one of those things where I'm a little anxious to see what people think of it, because I anticipate it's one of those things people either going to really like it or they're not going to like it at all. The story is about a disgraced pastor who's fleeing the death of his daughter. And of course, where does he end up? Clifton Heights, New York. Now, I wrote this story very differently. And I'm not even sure how I started doing it. I just found myself watching a lot of horror movies in a row, a mix of classic horror movies from the 40s and 50s, some Val Lewiston pictures, and some 80s movies, some cult favorites and things like that. So what I started doing is I started watching these movies and letting the movies drive the narrative, and not that I copied from the plots of the stories, or anything like that. Let's not show the crowd your butt there, sweetie. Sorry about that. Not that I, let the plot of the movies drive me, but I was really just looking for little kernels, like themes, ideas, things that seem to fall into place with this journey of this poor tortured minister. And so I've watched a whole swath of movies. I've watched everything from Night of the Demons to both Haunting of Hill Houses, The Car. I watched Basket Case. I watched Madman. I mean, really, really low budget, even one called Night Visions. And I just kind of let these Frankenhookers, another one. And I was really, again, I wasn't copying the plots, but I was trying to see what were these movies saying. And then our main character, who's a pastor, but he's also been a closet horror fan his entire life, he ends up watching these movies in Clifton Heights, or, he reminisces on them, and it intertwines in the story. And we'll see how it turns out. Again, it's one of those things where I suspect that people are going to love it, or they're not going to like it at all. An interesting obstacle that I ran into with this, though, obviously copyright issue. The movies that were public domain, no issues. You could talk about them as much as you want to. And some of the movies, it was pretty easy to see why they're public domain, either like the real old movies, or something like Basket Case is public domain. Ironically enough, Prom Night is public domain because it's deemed as not having enough original material. But The Car, we couldn't find any information about it at all, whether or not it was copyrighted or not. So what I had to be careful of is making sure that my references to the movies were very oblique, and just talking about how the movies maybe impacted my main character, and to be very cagey with, believe it or not, spoilers, or giving away the plot, or using the plot too much, if they weren't in public domain. And that actually worked out really well, though, because there are a couple segments I trimmed that turned out I couldn't use them because I'd written too much about the movies, and the movies weren't in public domain. But then when I looked back on it, it was easy to see how, the story worked much better with those elements removed anyway. So, I really hope everyone will pick up October 9th. Of course, it's got a wonderful cover by the inimitable Ben Baldwin. So I'll be very happy to release that soon. And anyway, thanks for listening to me prattle on, and I hope that everyone does pick up a copy of October Nights.
Bayou Whispers is out today, and I'm excited to now present this to the world. It's the story of no-nonsense New Orleans native Janine LaRue, and it tells the tale of a strong female character. There are plot twists, and there's dark mystery, voodoo, magic, and adventure. I'd call it a supernatural thriller with horror elements, but even beyond that, it's a story of survival and I think it really echoes something with everything that everybody's gone through for the past year because of COVID-19. 31 October 2005, Orleans Parish, Louisiana. On Halloween night that year, no little ghosts or goblins wandered the streets in search of candy. No laughter rang out in what was left of the lower Ninth Ward neighborhood. 2 months after Katrina had ravaged this place, it still resembled a war zone covered in debris and stagnant pools of foul-smelling water from the levee breach. As midnight approached, a young teenager, naked, dirty, covered in mosquito bites, and with nasty leg wound wrapped in crusted-over gray rags, stumbled from a copse of trees. She was thin, so very thin, weighing barely 80 pounds. The muddy and cracked streets before her sat dark and empty. Human detritus littered the roads and yards, and the skeletons of ruined homes bore unintelligible spray paint that looked more like the desperate scratching of a fluorescent wild beast than symbols from a nameless insurance company or traumatized recovery workers. It was a city of the dead, a city of the damned. Right foot, left foot drag, one step at a time. The pain didn't matter. It can't matter. Janine had been walking for what felt like forever, almost in a trance, placing one bloody foot in front of the other. Moving forward was the only thing that mattered. Keep moving. Those white guys might be following. Keep moving. Right foot, left foot drag. She walked through glass and rusted nails, around junked appliances and damp, moldy couches. A dog barked once in the distance. A patrol car sat watch at the end of the street, engine idling. Janine approached, fear causing each step to hesitate. The light of a burning cigarette brightened as the occupant of the vehicle, still in shadow, took a long drag. "Help," croaked Janine, her voice strained, rough. Insects chirped, frogs called to their mates. No one heard her. Right foot, left foot drag. The person in the car took another pull, a dot of orange light flaring, then fading. "Help," she called, louder this time. The insects and the frogs stopped. The patrol car's dome light winked on as the door opened. Janine screamed. She screamed as the cop ran towards her. She screamed as the cop took off his own shirt to wrap around her. She screamed as the cop carried her to the car. "Jesus H. Christ, Randy, call for an ambulance," yelled the cop. The cop's partner, still inside the car, got on the radio. Janine continued to scream until her vocal cords tore. She tasted blood. "You're safe, honey," said the cop for the 7th time. Janine finally heard him. He stayed with her until the ambulance arrived and then rode with her to the hospital. He spoke to the doctors on her behalf. He sat with her in intensive care while Janine, clean for the first time in months, slept. He watched her tossing, turning, and moaning softly. Randy, the cop's partner, arrived at the hospital. He'd taken care of the paperwork and had brought a po' boy and a coffee. The sandwich was left untouched. For the next hour, the partners sat a silent vigil over Janine. The first cop must have drifted off because he woke with a start when someone placed a hand on his shoulder. "Officer Jones?" asked a man in scrubs. "I'm Dr. Broussard. Can we talk outside for a minute?" The cop looked to his partner, and he nodded back at him. "Go," said Randy. "I'll be here." Jones followed the doctor into the hallway. Officer, we can't find any of, he glanced at the clipboard, Janine's family. I wanted to let you know that in the morning, and assuming she's still stable. The doctor let his words drift off as he swallowed hard. Jones noticed the man's youth, how inexperienced he must have been before Katrina hit. The doctor looked like some of the baby-faced soldiers Curtis had met during the war. Young men, children really, who grew up quickly in the face of tragedy and death. Jones put his hand on the doctor's shoulder. Yes, sorry, said Dr. Prasad. It's been a long couple of months of giving out bad news. I understand, said Jones automatically. Just hit me with it, Doc. Janine, we're going to have to remove her leg. The infection is too severe and there's gangrene. Do what you have to, said Jones impassively. But without parental, will the surgery save her life? Yes. Take her leg then, Jones' left eye twitched once. Dr. Prasad nodded. I'll need you to sign. A moment later, Jones returned to Janine's room. Well? Asked Randy. Jones slumped into a chair. They're going to take it in the morning. Suddenly, Janine sat up, ice blue eyes wide, unblinking. It was those eyes that had thrown him. This young teen, he'd met her once before the storm. He didn't recognize her at first, as she practically crawled from the bayou, filthy and emaciated. The last time Curtis had seen her, she'd been covered in blood. She had brown eyes then. He remembered them, unblinking and staring into a nightmare of unimaginable horror. Jane Doe was Janine LaRue. Jones was sure being a child of mixed-race parents was hard enough to grow up with in this town, but this young woman had experienced far more and far worse than her 14 years had prepared her for. Jones knew who she was now. She'd been returned, unlike so many of those in the missing persons reports. The details of so many lost souls broken down into height, weight, and hair color. You all right, Janine? He asked. She looked at Jones, eyes unfocused from the drugs the doctors had pumped into her. Papa Nightmare is here, she said in a frantic whisper. Papa Nightmare! Shh. It's all right, honey. You're safe now. I'm here, and I won't leave you. Janine blankly looked at Jones, and he gently helped her lie back down. Right foot, left foot, she muttered, as her eyes fluttered once more before closing. The drugs took a lasting hold, and Janine's breathing slowed. She spoke occasionally, nonsense words mostly. Jones held her hand for the rest of that night. You're safe, he whispered again. Promise.
Well, thank you very much to Crystal Lake for participating in BuzzBook Expo. That was some really cool stuff from 4 of their authors, where they read little snippets of the books that they have coming out or have just had come out from Crystal Lake Publishing. And we are very much looking forward to our upcoming presentation by Paul Goblush from Thunderstorm Books. And in the meantime, that will start at 1:30, so that's about 8 minutes from now. In the meantime, we will be taking any questions if you have any questions from the audience here about what's coming up or what's going on. Make sure you bring lots of questions for Paul, because Thunderstorm Books is going to have some exciting things to share and some things that you will hear first before you hear anywhere else. and we're looking forward to it coming up. And we will have some commercials going in a few minutes. In the meantime, just sit back and relax, and we'll be back at 1:30. Hello, everyone. We're moving right along for our next presentation, which will be by Paul Goblersch from Thunderstorm Books. There's going to be some exciting announcements. Make sure if you have a question for Paul that you put it in the comment section, and make sure that you label it comments prior to whatever question. I'm sorry, did I say that right? Make sure you label it question prior to whatever question that you have in the comment section, and we will make sure that we pop it up on the screen so that Paul can answer it. I'm going to bring Paul into the live stream now. Hi,
Hello.
Paul. How you doing?
Hello. How are you?
Pretty good, thanks. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. You can hear me okay?
We can hear you just fine.
All right, nice.
All right, so I'm gonna step out and give Paul the floor, and yay, I'm very excited. Okay.
Hello, everybody. My name is Paul Goblersch. I own and operate Thunderstorm Books. Let me move this up here. Let's see. Sorry about that. So today I'm going to go over some of the new releases I got coming out later this year, and then basically open up the floor for any questions you might have about publishing or whatever you might have. Thanks for having me back again this year. I am going to first start off, for a lot of you ordered this earlier this summer, Brian Keene's The Seven, which is the Labyrinth Book 1. This is in stock. I'm going to start shipping these next week. So if you've ordered this, it's going to be, you should receive a shipping notice next week. Thunderstorm basically is a press that mostly specializes in signed limited edition hardcovers. So all the announcements I'm going to give you today are signed limited edition hardcover book announcements. Some of them are going to be spread out over what's going to be coming out over the next couple months. So if you're like, oh my gosh, that's too many to order at once, you'll have a little bit of time over the next month or so to get in some pre-orders. I do have a couple books that are kind of in transit, and so they're not up on the site yet. And I'm not going to really cover them today because I'm going to try to do some pre-order stuff that we got coming out more towards the end of the year. But those are Drowning in Oceans of Black by Brandon Ford, Kiss of Life by Gord Rollo and Gene O'Neill, and then Standalone by Paul Michael Anderson. So once those are in stock, you'll start seeing those pop up on my website later this month. But for pre-orders, and all these, I'm gonna announce 6 pre-orders today. All these are right now, should be live on the site. You should be able to order. So the first one is a new Versus book titled Scum. Janitors versus the Living Dead by Michelle Garza and Melissa Layson, or my neighbors out in Mesa. I'm out in Arizona, so I haven't seen them in a while. But this is a Versus is kind of a series of books that Todd Clark kind of headlines, and I don't know. They kind of have a dual image, kind of comic book type covers, and they're usually just fun type stories. That's This one's pretty gruesome, so hopefully you'll like that one. I also have a new book coming out called Dead Souls by Michael Lamo. It's good to see him back, in the genre. I was a big fan of him back in the mid-2000s. If you're a fan of the movies, the 2 stars of the movie, and I haven't seen the movie yet, I was going to try to do it before this expo, but Bill Moseley and Jesse James have signed this. So if you're kind of like, hey, it's not just a standard signed limited edition, it has some extras in it. So if you're a fan of movies, and they'll have their signature in them as well, you might want to pick up the copy of this. It's only 52 copies, so once they're gone, they're gone. The same with the Versus titles, 52 copies as well. I have a new Tempest book coming out, so Mary and I got that set up. This is actually the last Tempest book. This is book 3, but I'm just showing it so you can see kind of what the covers look like, what the production looks like on these. It's going to be Crossroads by Laurel Hightower. That came out in paperback versus with Off Limits Press, and Off Limits Press does an amazing job. So I'm really excited about that book coming out. We do have some other Tempest books that we're going to be planning for early 2022 as well. So we'll have more announcements on that one. But book 4 is up on the site right now, Crossroads. And now I'm going to go into, and that one is also limited to 52 copies. So those 3 titles are like, if you buy them before they sell out, they're set limitations. Now the next 3 I'm going to cover right now are all pre-orders. So I'm going to kind of base the print run based on how many pre-orders we get. Just to kind of get a good feel of how many people are going to be interested in these. I do this kind of frequently, not as much as some presses, but every once in a while I put them up for pre-order, see how they pan out. The first one is the book 1 of the Saga of Deadeye by Ron O'Kelly. I've worked with Ron for many years. This is going to be a 5-book set. So the order for this today is just book 1. And our production schedule is going to be about every 6 months. So book 2 should be sometime in spring 2022. Then book 3 in fall 2022. And then we'll wrap up the last 2 in 2023. So they'll be spread out a little bit. So if you're interested, once the first book, I'm going to keep it up until early October. Once that print run is set, then I'll base that print run on the rest of the series. So books 2 through 5 are going to basically be sold out at the same time as this one sold out. So if you're interested in the series or interested in the book, please pick this one up. Also, you know what? I'm going to switch the order a little bit. Brian Keene's The Terminal. I don't know if you've heard of this one. This was his second book. This is the full novel version. He's going to be putting in some author preferred version, that sort of thing. So I got this up on the site as well. It's always a pleasure to work with Brian. I think this would be our 38th book that we've worked on together. So great cover art by Daniel Serra. Please, if you're interested, pick this one up. The cover artist for the other ones I should have mentioned as well was Alex McVeigh did the Versus title. Anna Lamo did the Dead Souls title, and Alex McVeigh also did the Deadeye Saga. He's going to do all 5 on that Deadeye Saga. And then the last book I want to cover today, and I don't have cover art, so the what I'm showing you isn't the final cover. I just had to make something so I could, kind of show it off. It's going to be Clickers Never Die by Stephen Kazanowski and Wally Young. The reason I'm showing this one so early, I mean, even before I have cover, again, this isn't an official cover. The cover art's going to be worked on. It should be turned in by I think the end of September, maybe early October, something like that. But the reason I wanted to put this one up early is, and I'm going to show it to you on my phone. Sorry, I don't have a bit of, but Wally Young is making these little figurines for it. So everybody who purchases it will get 2 little mini figurines, and I think you can paint them or you can set them on your bookshelf. So they will come with the book. So I want to get some orders in now, kind of, so he can get started on the production of these early, so we'll have plenty of them to go around. So, with that, I'm going to pretty much open it up for questions. When I did this last year, I kind of went through a lot of the history of the press and that sort of thing. So if you're like, man, you're kind of just hopping right in, if you want more information about what Thunderstorm has done and stuff, you can check out last year's, or you can just ask a question today, and I'll see if I can answer it. We'll do questions pretty much to the end. That took about 10 minutes, so we got about 20 minutes for open questions. Maybe towards the end, we can do some like rapid fire questions if you'd like. And then I'll do a quick 2 or 3 minute wrap up. And that's about it. So do we have any questions for today?
Hello, I'm going to pop in with a question
Okay.
and start things off. I love the little figurines that Wiley Young is making for the Clears book. I think that's such a great idea. Is Thunderstorm planning on doing little things like that for books moving forward, or is this just kind of a special?
Yeah, that's a good question. I wasn't even 100% sure. They just kind of popped this idea on me, and I'm like, hey, that sounds kind of cool. So this kind of came together. I believe it was all his idea. So I'm definitely interested in doing stuff like that with future books. If there's anybody out there who says, hey, what about this? Or, hey, this is an idea I want to put in with my book, I'm certainly open to working with authors or working with artists and developing things like that. But I don't know if it'll be like every single book will have something like that. But I'm definitely open for. We'll see how these turn out. I think they kind of look kind of fun, something.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, when they put their books on the shelves, they have little, the pop stuff and the little things already there. So it just kind of adds to the flavor.
Oh, I agree. I think it's a fantastic idea. I really like that. It gets like for writers, it gets sort of the brain going, like what kind of other stuff that you can do to, help promote your book. And all right, I'm going to bounce out because I see we're getting a bunch of questions here and I don't want to take up their space. So I will be right back.
What is the book club? So on my website, you'll see there's a little tab that says Clubhouse. Basically what that is I set that up kind of from the beginning, where people who buy all my stuff or a vast majority of my stuff kind of it's kind of like when, box stores will open up their store a little bit early, before, the general public gets in. It's kind of that same idea. So the reason I did that is if you've been buying books for a long time, or you want to be buying books for, hey, I really want to buy a large percentage of your work, you can kind of get in and get your order set. And then what I do is look at how many orders I got, and then when I announce something publicly, then I know exactly how many left I can sell. So if you're ever interested in joining that sort of thing, you can certainly just email me, thunderstormbooks@gmail.com, and I can get you set up. There are other perks in there, like you can get a matching number, for instance, if you like, hey, I want to be number, and if it's available, of course, but there's collectors out there that have been, like, for instance, H. Casper, who's a friend of mine, has been number 4 since we started. So it's like he gets number 4 for every book I ever make, basically. So if stuff like that's important, it's kind of like a deeper collector thing. But if that's important to you, you can always email me, join in the club. Again, it's for people who buy a vast majority of the stuff. So if you only buy stuff every once in a while, the best thing to do is follow me on Twitter or sign up for my newsletter, and you'll see book announcements pop up that way. But again, I still have slots available. So if anybody is like, hey, I really want to collect a lot of Thunderstorm stuff, you can certainly email me and I can get you set up. If we have a matching set of Tempest numbers, there's a way to make sure that we keep going with the upcoming books. Yeah, absolutely. If once you put in your order, I'm pretty good about keeping track of who has what numbers. So if you put in the order for Tempest number 4, which was just announced today, I'll look, before I start shipping them, I will try to match your number. So I try to match numbers as much as I possibly can. Sometimes it's impossible, but for something like Tempest, I should be able to do it. What would be your dream book publication, or have you already done that? Oh man, dream book. I mean, if I was thinking about like pie in the sky dream, like the thing that would be like a once in a lifetime opportunity, it would be Stephen King's Needful Things, which is my favorite book of his. I thought it was just awesome. So I'm going to go with that answer. That's a good rapid fire question right there. But I have published a lot of authors that I'm like, wow. Like last year when we did Paul Tremblay's, I did a 2-book set from him. Like I said, I've been working with Brian for years, and it still feels fresh and new. Like every title I've so grateful. It's like, oh man, we get to do another book together. So there are several authors that I've had the pleasure of working with, and it's like, it's still kind of a dream. So yep, that's the same one. That's the Tempest matching. Yep.
Sorry about that.
We'll share the STL file. Oh, that's okay, Mary. All right. I'm a little embarrassed because I'm not very good at tech. I don't know what an STL file is. But the pictures I showed on my phone, if you didn't get a good glimpse at them, are on the website when you see the if you go in and click their book. It's a description of what the book is about. There are the 2 pictures that I showed on my phone just briefly. I haven't seen the actual figurine yet. I've only seen the pictures, so but they should be posted. So I'm going to try to ship them all at once. So once we get enough orders to put in, so he can start getting those created, I'll ship them actually with the books.
Okay, if anyone...
Man, I'm going quick, huh? I'm just zipping through these.
Oh yeah, I know. It's very smooth. I like that. It's the professional Thunderstorm books that we've come to know and love. If anybody has any other questions, we can probably take 1 or 2 more, but you got to get them in now. Bueller. Anyway. Don't be shy. That really sounds exciting. I mean, I've seen the little figurines. They're adorable, and I think they are the kind that you can paint. It's pretty cool. I like that idea, and I like that you're open to, thinking outside the box for, promotion, and just for making. It's not like, I always feel like it's not just a book that you get from Thunderstorm. It's like a work of art. It's like a package. A beautiful thing that you get, and I think that's
a lot of times my mind is always like, I'll let you guys in on a little secret. Starting a new line of books is probably the most difficult thing there is to do when you're a small press, at least in the hardcover realm. So, like, if you take, for instance, Tempest had a whole, it has its own stamping mechanism, the own material, and you got to pick that stuff out in advance, see if it really looks like what the picture on their website looks like. Yeah. Sometimes it looks awesome, and I want to get a sample of this stuff, right? So you get the company to send you samples, and then it's like, oh, I can't use this. There's going to be problems with it, or it's not as high quality as it looked. So a lot of that, doing that sort of work in advance, I'm not complaining, but it's a stressful part of the job,
right?
Because you want to make sure that not only the authors are happy, but customers are happy, or book buyers the collectors are happy, and even books like the Versus book. It's like, well, it's like my other books, right? It has a dust jacket. It has, it's the same. It looks like a typical Thunderstorm book, but the amount of design type changes, and hey, we're gonna do 2 panels on each one, and getting the artists on board for doing that, and kind of making it, give it its own little flavor. I don't know if flavor is the right word, but giving its own little uniqueness of, hey, this is something a little bit different. Takes a lot of work, and then once that's set up, it's like, because Thunderstorm usually does 40 titles a year, maybe somewhere around there. Once it's set up, it's like, then I'm kind of like, let's go, let's go, and then it's off to the races. It's like, so I don't even remember what the question was, but for adding little touches like the figurines. So, like, there's some stuff I have in mind that I'd like to do, and I don't even know if I can do it yet, but I have some things in mind. So, like, for instance, many of you might know I work with Death's Head Press on these, like, it's their line. It's their splatter western series. So
Right.
I kind of do hardcovers of that. So I have this idea, and I haven't floated it by Jared yet, but he brought it up of, hey, I want to see if I can put something together and see if it's an idea. It would be something a little bit extra, maybe after like the whole set is done. Like the first set's supposed to be the first 13 books. Something to put together for the guys who, bought all 13, that sort of thing. So.
Oh, cool. Very cool.
And then there's another problem too that happens is when I was talking about getting materials in, I got this material in, and it's like, I just wanted to test it out, and it's awesome. And I said, I got to use this. And I'm like, what am I going to use it for? You know what? I mean, it's like I don't have the books in mind yet. Right. I just have the material set up for when that becomes if it becomes a thing. So sometimes I'm working ahead on stuff that doesn't even exist yet. So it's all the fun, and that's kind of the fun part too, is like, hey, putting together different things. So
right, I would imagine that putting together a package that works with the themes of the book, and
right.
It looks like we have one more question for you, so I'm going to bounce out so you can. Oh wait, that's John's question. 6 shooters. So, well, that wasn't the question, but
you know what though, I'm glad John is on, because he and I had a discussion when I just talked about this material. He and I had a discussion, and I'm not going to reveal it to the public, so they're going to be like, what the heck are you guys talking about? But he had a discussion. He had a book idea, if he remembers. 13 books. We discussed 13 books in this office right here. This was the same backdrop.
Oh.
That material might be something that we could use for that. So if he remembers what I'm talking about, and it's not one, it's I think it's 13 different authors too. So anyway, he might remember, he might not. But if he remembers that discussion, I'm keeping that stuff in my head. I'm keeping that stuff in my head. Yeah. So.
All right, I'm gonna float you. Oops, I did it again. Hold on, technology.
I want to do. Let's see. We still have a couple more minutes.
Couple more, yeah, and I'll bounce.
Okay, so I wanted to do. Has technology made things easier when it comes to publishing? Probably. I'm not good at technology. I'm really not. I that would be a question I would have to ask my designers. I think so, though. Because I'll give you an example. One time in one of my very early books, we were converting a PDF and it was a nightmare. And then now it's just snap of a finger. They can do that stuff so much easier. So I think technology has come a long way as far as making things easier. Last year, I wanted to give a shout out to 2 more presses. I think my time is just about up. So this year, I wanted to do a shout out as well. My philosophy is we're kind of all in this together. So if you're not collecting Thunderstorm, if you're not collecting hardcovers, there's some great paperback presses out there. There's ebooks. Even if you are collecting hardcovers, there's other presses that make marvelous books. And last year I gave a shout out to Cemetery Dance Publications and SST Publications. Both great presses. I want to do 2 more today that if you haven't collected them or haven't heard of them, seek them out, check out their work. The first one is Necro Publications. So this is one of their books. We lost Dave earlier this year, and he was a icon of mine. He was a hero of mine. Thunderstorm would not exist without him. He helped me along when I was starting out. He designs some of the books that you might have on your shelves. Let's see. I'm sorry. So all these ones right here in the background, this is the row I was trying to look at. He put those together for me. So, but his books, his press, Necro Publications, is still out there, so you can still go buy, older titles on the secondary market. And I miss you, Dave. I wish I had a chance to meet you, but and then on that note, I don't want to end the show on a somber note, so I also want to throw a shout out to Earthling Publications. Earthling Publications. You don't see them a lot as far as like on all the discussions about what's going on and social media and all that. But they do some really fine work. And Paul Miller runs it. Just like Dave, he was there in the beginning answering questions when Thunderstorm was first starting back in the late 2000s. So I highly recommend them as well. They got a new Josh Mellerman book coming out. It's supposed to be massive. I got my order in for that, so please support them as well. Grab some of their titles, and just support the small press in general. For everybody out there who's buys Thunderstorm stuff, I want to sincerely thank you. I love doing it, and I want to continue doing it. So, thanks for having me on. Thanks for giving me the time, half hour to show some of the stuff coming up. And I appreciate everybody's questions, and I look forward to the rest of 2021 being a good year and having a good year in 2022 as well.
Well, thank you so much for being on the Expo, Paul. This was really great. I'm excited about the titles that you have coming out. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, thank you.
And just a class act as always. I think those are some nice shout outs to other publishers.
Well, thank you.
Anyone have any final questions for Paul? We could maybe squeeze in one more. Anyone?
Bueller.
I know the chat's a little bit, they're like a couple seconds behind us.
Yeah.
So.
And that's okay. If you guys ever have any questions, you could just shoot me an email. I try to keep up on it. Sometimes I fall behind, but I will answer any questions if you have questions you've never bought from me directly before, or have a question on the ordering process, or questions about books that might be coming up, you can shoot me an email.
Well, thank you. Thanks again, Paul. We really appreciate it. It was great having you on. Great seeing you again.
Good to see you again, Mary.
So take care, and we're going to take a quick break, and then next up we have Erie River Publishing is going to tell us about what they've got going on. So thanks again, Paul.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, folks. So again, we're going to take a little break. We're going to try to run some commercials so you can see what's going on. And we look forward to what's coming up next from Erie River Publishing. So hang in there, and we will be back. Hi, everyone. Well, we're back, and we are now going to have a presentation from Erie River Publishing. I'm going to bring her in.
Hi.
Hello there. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. We're really looking forward to hearing everything that Erie River Publishing is doing. So I'm going to get out of your way and take it away.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Michelle. I'm sorry, we have a head cold going around my family, so I apologize if I cough or anything like that. My name is Michelle River, and I am the owner of Erie River Publishing. We are a small independent publishing house just outside of, just in Ontario, Canada. So hello to all my fellow Canadians. So what we do is we specialize in dark fiction. So our motto is quality over quantity. So we do a few anthology calls a year with our flagship series called It's Called From. So our first book in our collection last year was Calls from the Forest, and that released in April. And then we had It Calls from the Forest 2, It Calls from the Sky, and It Calls from the Sea. And see, I thought I had all the books here, but I'm missing the first one because, of course. Oh, no, I'm not. See. So Calls from the Forest first was our first one. And then we have It Calls from the Forest 2, It Calls from the Sky. And, of course, I think I lent out my Calls from the Sea book. So I have a postcard of what that one looks like. So this is what our ongoing main horror anthology series has been, and it's been outstanding. We've had such great response from the community, the horror community, like the indie authors who have been submitting, but as well as readers. Like we have people that are following the entire series and asking for all the books. So that's amazing. And we're really excited to announce that we're going to be releasing It Calls from the Doors. This one is all about, I'm going to say like portals and doorways or actual physical doors. So darkness behind doors and different dimensions, things like that. And that's coming out October 15th. So that's our next release in this series. And we're also, for authors that are watching, we're reading It Calls from the Veil, which is all about ghost stories. We're reading submissions for that right now, and that's ongoing until the end of October. So a lot of exciting stuff with this horror series specifically. Something that I'm really proud about, and I'm really excited that everyone's enjoying them so far. So that's pretty awesome. So what's happening right now? 2021 was a huge year for us. We started in 2019. Well, that's when we opened our doors and started our first anthology call. So It Calls from the Forest only came out April, I think, last year. So beginning of the pandemic, that was a lot. That was a fun release. So that's when it all started with It Calls From. And since then, we have released single author books as well. This one is Sentinel by Drew Starling. This one has gotten some great reviews. I think we have over 80 4-star review and higher reviews on Amazon right now for this one. Drew did a fantastic job. And the exciting news on this is we are getting the second book coming out in 2022. So we believe we're aiming for May to June release. And this one is called Nothis. That's coming in 2022. And this is the blurb for it. It's been 6 months since tragedy rocked the rural hamlet of Bensalem, Virginia. Newly elected Sheriff Cheryl McNamara has vowed to uncover the truth about her town's dark history and drive out whatever terrors roam the woods that surround them. Her big break comes from an unexpected source, her teenage daughter, Skylar, whose fascination with the occult and unique ties to an ancient mystery makes a remarkable discovery. But tragedy strikes, and when the true form of the evil is revealed, it is young Skylar, who must confront not only the Nothis, but also the town's old demons that lay in its lair. So we're really excited about this. And we've got a lot of people loving this book. And Drew did a great job It's Drew Starling. You can follow him on all of his social media. And that one is coming out, like I said, May or June next year. And then as well, we also do dark fiction. So we also did dark fantasy release in Solitude's Shadow. This one is also doing really great. It's got some fantastic reviews. People are calling it like the best novella they've read since Brandon Sanderson. Best books they've read all year. This one's by David Green. And again, this one came out this year, just this summer, so it hasn't been very long. And we're planning on doing his book number 2, Path of War, for this one is going to be coming out not pretty soon. It's going to be coming out summertime as well for next year. So about a year since from the first original release, which is really exciting. So we're pumped for that. So what else we have coming up? We've got the Doors series, which I already went through. It calls from the Doors. And then what we just released yesterday is this mammoth book. It's After. This was an invite only. I wanted to try something with a series. So we did a series of novelettes by 8 authors that I've worked with personally through Indie River. And I tasked them with a challenge of creating a dystopian world after apocalyptic event. So get the idea of like what civilization is like when almost the world is destroyed. What happens after? So that's what this is. So it goes through 8 different scenarios of what had happened. And it's about a generation or 2 after that event. So you don't actually get the apocalypse. You get the dystopian world after. So we've got 8 different worlds and 8 different endings in this book. And it's huge. It's 6x9. It's 438 pages, I think. And they just did a fantastic job on this book. And it's coming out. It's out right now. You can get the individual ones Kindle Unlimited, or you can get the whole thing Kindle Unlimited, or by the big actual book. And this is what it looks like. I think it did a great job. We're getting a lot of people loving it. And again, it just came out, so reviews aren't up, but we do have some reviews from the individual books that are there already. So yeah, After is really, really exciting. So what else is coming up for 2022? Well, we're not even done 2021 yet, guys. We have 2 group projects that were brought to us. We haven't actually announced them yet. But they are going to be releasing in a couple of months. We've got one of them that centers around like almost a truck stop bar and about all the crazy things and evil things that occur there. And that should be coming out hopefully within the next month. I believe we're calling it Last Stop. I'm working on the cover right now. So Last Stop or Last Chance, that's coming out pretty soon. And then we have another one that is going to be coming out in December-ish. And this one is follows a blood curse from a family that let me just think. Sorry. Follows a blood curse from a family. There's this woman that is killed in the 1800s or 1600s, I believe, and she's accused of being a witch and killed. And this is a collection of stories by different authors, and it follows the bloodline of all the people that accused her and essentially murdered her, and how they have been cursed throughout the generations. So that one's a really interesting one as well. Both of them are group projects. So both of them are projects that are everyone has been given a chapter, and they write collectively about the whole story. So those are coming out hopefully before 2022. So that's 2022. That's our 2021 wrap up with lots of exciting things. We also, so yeah, that's 2021. For 2022, we have a lot of things coming out. We've got individual novels, which we already went through. We've got Drew Starling's Nothis. We've got David Green's Path of War. We also have, Yeah, After is already available on Kindle Unlimited. Or it should be. If it isn't, I'll go change it. But yeah, After is available on Kindle Unlimited. So you should be able to read all 8 novelettes on that. Sorry, I just saw a question. I thought I'd answer it.
I have a quick question, if I could just pop in here.
Yeah.
It sounds like Erie River does a lot of like group projects, like anthologies. I like the idea of a novel where different people get to each take a chapter and sort of contribute to it. That's kind of cool. Do you have planned any kind of anthologies where it's like a shared world, like Charlie Grant's Greystone Bay, where it's one place or one event or something, and everybody writes a story that's like all interconnected to this one main umbrella theme? You know what I mean?
I love that idea, and I would love to see something like that done. That is essentially what the Last Chance and the Witch story is. It's like it is all about that one theme or the one event or the one place. But I like the idea of it being one world or one street or one hotel or something like that.
Right.
It is something that we're thinking of, or I'm kind of thinking about, like, okay, how do we get these projects? Because to put a full call out for something like that, it would be so difficult. So it's more, how do you invite and who do you select to invite? That we're talking about, because we are for next year opening up potential invite / Kickstarter anthologies as well, because we're trying to do 3 anthologies a year. That's what I'm kind of max. That's essentially what I think my max is, because it's there's just not enough people behind the scenes to read all the submissions.
Right.
So we're doing 3 anthologies a year is where I'm going to be maxing out for that. But we also we just did a call for single author books. So those are slow. I'm slowly going through those. So we're hoping to do at least 3 single author books on top of the number twos, on top of the book 2s that we have in the series coming out as well.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Okay, folks, just a reminder. I know I've posted this in the comments, but I just want to make sure, if you have any questions, just tag them as question in the comments and we'll pop them up on the screen, since I'm getting pretty good at that. Yeah, but definitely ask Michelle questions if you have any. I will ask. Well, I did have one more question. It's getting away from me. Hold on. You know what? I'm gonna have to bounce out and come back again.
No worries. I'm sorry, my kid. I can hear my kids screaming in the basement. So I'm like, my brain keeps being distracted. It's going like, wait, what's happening? Is it an emergency, or
is this something where a mom has to intervene? Yeah,
I know. Like, do I have to go down there, or can I keep focused?
But so do you, is currently, because I just to be clear, because I think I might have missed this somewhere, is everything that Erie River doing currently invite only, or is it open to submissions?
It's everything at the current thing it's submissions.
Okay.
I did After is the only thing that I was testing the waters with an invite only, because I really wanted to do a dystopian series, but I knew I didn't have time to read 1,000 or 500 stories.
Right.
So I thought, okay, let's try this with a couple people that I had worked with that were in some of my other books from It Calls From, and see if we can create like this novelette collection and see how that goes.
Oh, cool.
So,
okay,
yeah.
Good.
So It Calls From the Veil, which is open right now. That one is anyone can write for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the submission guidelines are on your website?
Submission guides I actually have, hilariously enough.
Okay, I will bounce out and you can talk about the submission guidelines.
Yeah. So I've got all of our details if you want to get a hold of us. So if you are an author and you're looking to submit, you just go to erieriverpublishing.com, and there's an open call section on there. You just click through that. We have 2 open calls right now. We have one that is a monthly rotating call. That's for this year. We do like a monthly collection. And 3 stories get selected. The top 2 go into our patron account. So our patrons, if you're a member of our patron, get to read the top 2 stories. It's just a part of your patron bonus, exclusive content. And then the 3rd story goes onto our blog. So it's like free horror for everybody. And every month we have a new theme. So this month, which is September, our theme is mummies, because this whole year we're doing a monster theme. So this month is mummies. So if you have a mummy story lying around, or if you'd like to write one, you just go on there and you submit under the monthly submission button. And then we currently have another one for horror as well. And that one is It Calls from the Veil. So just like our It Calls from series, where we have forest, sea, sky, doors, the next one is going to be Veil, and that's coming out in 2022. And so we're reading submissions for that right now. So those are the 2 calls we have coming up. And next year, we're going to be opening up some more things, some more calls. But again, we're going to be doing 3, and they will be spaced out pretty evenly through the year, so we don't get bogged down. What got me into publishing? Oh, that's a good question. There's a lot of reasons I got into that. The main one really is me and a couple of friends wrote a book in 2019, really quickly. And we actually self-published it ourselves, but I used the header Erie River Publishing because I was like, oh, I can use this for my own kind of publishing works. And after I did that, I kind of caught the publishing bug. I really enjoyed making covers and marketing and formatting. And I'm one of those people that like doing a lot of different projects at once. So it was one of those things that I just got my nails in. I really just enjoyed a lot of. I also came from, there were some experiences I had with some of the smaller indie presses where I was noticing a lot of them were asking for stories anywhere from like 100 words to 10,000 words, where they weren't offering pay at all. I do understand that it's hard as a publishing house to make sure you're paying all your authors, but it got to the point where it was all I was seeing. And I don't know if it was just because of the little circle of authors I was in, but it kind of annoyed me. So I decided I wanted to make a company where I would always pay, like as much as I could. It doesn't, like, I know that I'm not necessarily being able to pay professional rates, but it is something that we're trying to get to, which is why we have the patron and all those other things, is so that we can make sure no matter what you see on my site, if you see it in the books, it's been paid for one way or another. And that's why I got into it. I wanted to make sure we were printing quality horror and paying our authors. In the group projects, how do you get a cohesive voice among all the different authors? I don't know if you can necessarily get a cohesive voice. And I think that's the enjoyable part of it. You definitely want, depending on what the project is, if it all needs to follow the same plot arc, you have to make sure that everyone's following the same plot arc. But in these ones, I don't think that was necessary. It was just about like corruption and tragedy and evil in specific places and things, but they did make sure that they had everything that tied together, and the little bits of information throughout it was important. But the shared world idea where you need it in like the same town or same something else, I think it's really cool. But I don't think you can get a cohesive voice. Everyone has a different writing style. So that's kind of, yeah, that's Erie River. So again, if you want to follow us, Erie River, we are everywhere. We are on Patreon. I have a TikTok. Like, I'm on TikTok, people. Erie River. We're on YouTube. Hi. Oh, I can't hear you.
It's just so cute. It's like, I have a TikTok. Come on, people.
I know. I'm like, I'm so old, but I have a TikTok. I'm not doing it right.
I know the feeling. I spent a long time one night trying to understand the difference on Instagram between a story and a post, Like, if a story's going to go away, why is it worth posting at all? And I couldn't get it. Like, my brain would not accept it. So I understand. I do have another question for you, and it was because I always find this sort of interesting. Do you have a sort of dream project? Another audience member had asked in the last presentation about like a dream project, like something you'd like to do that you're not quite sure if you can tackle yet, or that, like if you could just, if like money and complications were no issue. Do you have like a dream project you'd like to do?
If money was no issue, right? There are so many projects that I want to do. It's kind of ridiculous. I have a big list of things that I would like to tackle. I love the idea of the shared world, and having like a residing theme. I actually want to be able to find time to write myself, because I guess I was an author before I started my publishing house. I haven't been able to write since because I've been so busy. But I guess so crazy. I guess I do have, there's like, we are looking at doing some invite with some different authors coming up. I know it's hard to say what kind of passion project I would like to do. I feel like I am living my passion project. Like we're putting out anthologies, we're putting out single author books, and we should be having a couple of those. We're even potentially putting out a new dark fantasy series, which is going to be coming out hopefully, but it'll be late 2022, maybe 2023. I think the thing that I'd really like to do the most is just make sure that I'm uplifting our authors as much as possible. I would love to be able to find some additional time to do more interviews, more swag, be able to make sure that we're getting into all the little stores that they need to get into and things like that, because I really feel like these stories deserve the recognition and the praise that they should be getting. Like, it's hard to break through that level of who is this person to, oh, this author, I know that author. So I think that's my dream, is to get one of our authors to there where people are like, oh, I recognize that name. So I think that's really what my dream is. Yeah.
I think that's fantastic. I mean, we hear from publishers, like you said, there's so many of them that can't afford to pay, or don't quite always recognize that there are people on both ends of the product that you're creating, the writers and the readers. And it's just really, like Matt said in the comments, it's really great to hear that that you care about the little folk, the writers that are doing.
Well, yeah, because like there's no me if there's no them. But the whole idea of getting into publishing is to put something out there that people will be able to enjoy. And that's the best quality that you can make it. So I know everyone has different ways of doing it. But for us, for our single author books, because again, we put out a call for single authors and going through manuscripts right now for our 2022 releases. So I don't know who's going to be our next single authors. But all of them are going to be getting like developmental edits. We've got 2 awesome editors on our collective staff, I guess. I have staff on contract. We've got S.O. Green, who is an author in their own right. And then we also have Lindsay Smith from Horace Smith Editing. And they're going to be doing our edits and developmental edits. And then everything's getting like, I just want to make sure it's the best that we can possibly do, because sometimes I feel like if you don't, there's a disservice. So
right. We appreciate that. That's awesome. That's really awesome to hear. Does anyone else have any questions? We can probably take 1 or 2 more. Just tag it in the comments as questions. If you have anything, we'll give them a couple. I think that because the chat's a little behind what we're saying at the moment, so
don't worry about it.
We'll give them a little bit of time. But Yeah, no, I mean this is really exciting to hear. It's not. I think sometimes writers get frustrated because it's like, where can we be sending stuff? What can we be doing? And it's more than just, you know, what people are paying. A lot of things go into that consideration. Like, are they going to take care of us? Are they going to, communicate with us? Are they going to, be there? And it sounds like you're on top of everything, and it's so great to hear.
I probably communicate too much with depending on what author it is, because I was just messaging someone. I was like, oh my gosh, get me your blurb. I totally forgot. Or tell me how to say the word nothis, because I don't want to say it wrong. So yeah, like there's definitely, and it goes with, like, we're a small press, so can we afford to do thousands of dollars worth of marketing? Probably not. However, we're going to do everything that we can, but also the author has to be able to market themselves as well. Like, it has to be a partnership, especially when you're small and you're indie.
Right.
As long as, I think everyone needs to realize that the marketing part is going to become, like, we'll be doing the paid marketing, but you also have to be out there and putting your book out. And
Absolutely.
if you want to go to signings, do conventions, like, get your name out there and make sure that, like, you're presenting yourself in a very professional way.
Absolutely. I agree. It looks like we have one more question for you. I'll pop it up here and then
What's been your best advertising tool? Honestly, my authors. My author group, the indie author community has been fantastic for spreading the word. Now, if you're talking about how do I get sales on books, I put them on sale and I pay for advertising. That's probably the best one. Newsletter swaps. Anything that's paid tends to get more eyes on it. But getting the word out for the initial releases and things like that, the best advertising tool we have are the people that read our books and review them. I don't think that Sentinel would have done so well had it not had that initial, his newsletter had not had that initial, like, 20 reviews up within the first couple of weeks, which was amazing. Because when we did start advertising, people are like, oh, these are getting 4 or 5 stars, so let's read it. So I think having that base ARC group, people cheering you on, posting online when things come up has been probably our greatest advertising tool for now. And again, paid anything.
That's great. It's just it's so refreshing, like Matt said, to hear that so much work is going into this. And I wanted to thank you again, Michelle, for being on the Buzz Book Expo. And it was really a pleasure to have you. And we're looking forward to everything that Erie River's doing.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a pleasure. Again, sorry I got a little bit of a cold, so my
It's all good.
it's a little spacey.
Totally understandable.
All right. Well, thank you for having us. And if you guys need anything, like, I'm always here. People can email me or message me. Again, I'm probably too much contact. I'm too available.
Better too much than too little. All right. Thanks again. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Okay, folks. So that was Erie River Publishing, and we are going to take another brief little break and possibly run some commercials. Coming up next at 2:50 is St. Rooster Books. So we're looking forward to hearing what they've got coming up, and we're really, really excited. And then after St. Rooster Books, that will be followed by, at 3:30, the Expo committee presentation, where we'll be talking about the Expo and what we hope to do in the future, and scheduling and tools for publishers, tools for readers and media folk who attend. And we appreciate, keep the questions coming, and we'll be back in about 10 minutes. we were just saying how smoothly everything is running, and I forgot to unmute my mic. But then again, anyway, next up we have St. Rooster Books. I'm gonna add them to the stream. Hello there. How you doing?
Hi, how's it going? You hear me okay?
Oh, we have no sound.
Oh,
I think your mic
okay.
might be muted.
Let's see. Can you hear me now?
I think we're just checking here. We have St. Rooster Books. We have Tim here, but we're having a sound issue, so we're you know what?
Sorry.
Let me take you back out and put you back in again. That's unplugging and replugging things in seems to work. So we're gonna try this. Gonna put you back in.
His name was Tim.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, can you hear me now?
We still can't hear you.
Oh, hold on. Let's see.
We're gonna see if we can fix this here.
Is this working?
Just give us a few minutes, folks. We're working on this.
They said they can hear him.
Oh, they can hear him? Oh, you guys can hear him. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Okay, that's good. There might be something on my end. Anyway, Tim, I'm going to step out then if other people can hear you. And we will we'll give you the floor.
Okay. And everybody can hear me. Can you all hear me now? Hang on, I'm gonna switch my phone. I think that's working better. One second. Okay. Is this working? Hello? I don't know if anybody can hear me yet.
Hi, sorry. Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay, great.
Yes, it was something I did on my end, but yes, we can all hear you. So take it away. It's all you.
Okay, great. So, hi, my name's Tim Murr. I run St. Rooster Books. We started in 2011, and we published a few anthologies. We put out books by Tommy Clark, The God Provides, and I'll talk more about that in a second. And we've also published a couple books from John Baltusberger. Born Siren is the newest one. We did Blood and Mud last year, and both books have been fantastic for us. They're really just beautifully gruesome, incredible books. I'm an author myself, not just a publisher. I published things like My Skull is Full of Black Smoke, The Gray Man, Motel on Fire. And I've been in publishing, indie publishing since 1996. So I've been around, flying under the radar. But we've really stepped up here with St. Rooster Books. My wife and I, Stephanie, she runs it with me and does the majority of our covers. We've also launched our literary magazine this year, and that's Stranger with Friction. Issue 3 comes out at the end of this month, and we've already got issue 4 planned. So we're not stopping there. We're going to keep this going for the foreseeable future. Probably in the next 2 days, our new anthology drops. It's called Let the World Drown. It's a sea horror anthology. And then follow that in October, we've got Souls in a Blender, a story collection from Lamont Turner. And then in December, we have a collection, a 4-novella collection from Reed Lazaro. And then for the next year, what we have planned is the sequel to Abhorrent Siren called Abhorrent Faith. John will be dropping that book in March. And then the sequel to Tommy's The God Provides will drop later in the year, called The Witch of November. And I'm very excited for both these books. I know the plots in both of them. And for everybody who loved Abhorrent Siren and The God Provides, I think you're going to be very blown away by where both these guys take their work. We've recently published Paula Bukzusi's 3 Hits from the Holler, which was a triple novella collection. And hopefully we'll have him back next year as well. I took the year off from writing any of my own stuff to focus on starting the magazine and getting these other books going. But next year I'm coming back with a collaboration with my son, which will be called The Castle at the Edge of the Void, which is going to be an action-heavy splatterpunk adventure. And then also another nonfiction book followed up my Black Flag critical analysis, which will be called Leaning Towards the Shadows, The Dark Side of Country Music and the Punk Rock Connection. And it'll focus a lot on the more horrific aspects of classic country music and how it came to influence rock and roll, specifically punk rock, later on. So, so if anyone's got any questions,
Wow, that was it.
Hi there. I do have a question. Actually, I have 2 questions. One, what was it like to work on a book with your son? That's got to be kind of fun. And my second question is, for the writers out there, what type of books? I'm assuming that you're leaning towards splatterpunk, just because that seems to be your writing interest. But what kind of books do you publish? Like, if a writers wanted to submit to you, what should they be looking to send your way?
Well, I'm a big fan of splatterpunk, but I'm not beholden to the genre. I think for the most part, if I called my work splatterpunk, actual splatterpunk writers might kind of scoff at me. I think I'm, it's horror. It's heavily influenced by my obsession with going to the video store in the '80s and just plowing through the sections. And so I'm a big fan of all horror. I don't really shy away from any of the subgenres, and I'm very welcoming to everything. And with the magazine, I want that reflected, and I try to give a very diverse set of stories. So it's not just splatterpunk, it's not just classic horror, it's not just gothic. I want everybody to find something they can love and hold on to when they pick up something from St. Rooster Books. That said, I don't shy away from splatterpunk, but I love everything. And the working with my son has been interesting because we do we don't really butt heads as far as aesthetics go, but there's he's not as into the gore, and I feel like this story really lent itself to some very gory set pieces. So just us going back and forth, like what does this mean? What can we do here? How far would this go? So it's been neat having those discussions, and it's something that he and I have been doing since he was a little kid, playing with Transformers or Power Rangers or G.I. Joes or whatever. We just kind of let our imaginations run wild. And now that he's a teenager, this is the extension of that. We're still just sort of making up stories with our favorite action figures and having fun with it. And I think the end result's going to be something that's very different from anything I've done before. But it's going to be I think it's going to be a lot of fun for people to read.
Okay, we have a question here. What was the water anthology from Efren?
Oh, the new sea horror anthology. It's called "Let the World Drown."
Nice. Okay, cool.
And yeah, that's going live. I went through and fixed a couple of technical issues this morning and hit publish. So KDP usually takes about 72 hours to process, or a little less. So conceivably, it could be ready to go live tomorrow afternoon.
Great. Okay. Again, folks, if you have questions, just post them down in the comments section with tagging with questions so we don't miss them. And okay, here's another one. So I'm going to bounce out. It's going to show up at the bottom of the screen here.
Oh, so what made me want to transition from being an author to a publisher? I've always wanted to be more than just an author. When I started out, when I was 20 years old, what inspired me was if Black Flag could put out their own records through SST Records, and Henry Rollins could put out his own books through 21361, why couldn't I do that too? So I started Sidekick Productions in 1996 because I wanted to be. I love books. I love creating books. Back when I was doing zines and stuff, I loved putting things together. I loved creating covers. I love reading. I just want to, just keep consuming media, and I just want to be a part of everything. And so I feel like the publishing aspect is just a natural extension of my obsessions, because I just want to have my fingers in everything, So it wasn't even really a transition. It was just how I sort of started.
I have another question too. You mentioned a magazine, I believe, Stranger Than Friction.
Stranger with Friction.
Stranger with Friction. I'm sorry. Can you talk a little bit about the differences between magazine publishing and book publishing? I mean, for you, like in your experience.
Yeah. Really, the main difference is there's no themes with the magazine. So I just put the open call out. Issue 3 is coming out, so give me whatever you want before September 1st. And I like to get all the different stories in and mix them up and see how it's going to flow the best, and then pepper it with articles on horror movies, punk rock, and everything. So it's a lot less focused than the anthologies, but it's more fun to work on, because there's more there's artwork and stuff going in there. Steph did the cover for issue 2. My friend Eric Stewart did the cover for issue 1, and he's going to do the cover for issue 3, and we're going to feature his artwork and stuff. So it's more freeform, and it's just the process is more fun and hands-on. And even though I'm working on everything with the computer, it still feels very handmade, like I used to do back in the old days with cutting and pasting and Xeroxing things together.
Okay, so we've been asking publishers all day what their dream project is. If money was no object and any other restrictions were no object, what would be your absolute dream project to do through St. Rooster Books?
Wow. Well, I've done body horror anthology. I've done a punksploitation anthology, and a Blind Dead anthology, and now a sea horror anthology. So one of the last two big ones would be an eco horror and a Southern Gothic horror. And with both of those, if money was no issue and I had the time, I would probably release something. Well, I would reach out to a number of my heroes and see about getting them on board, and then having everything illustrated because I love illustrated books. We just branched out with our first illustrated book with Tommy's The God Provides. Steph did all the interior art on that, and it's absolutely gorgeous, and I think it really enhanced the book. And so I would want to go back down that path if I had the time and the money to do so.
Okay, I know I keep hogging all the questions here, but I have I have another question. You mentioned two nonfiction books, music related. I know that the one between country and punk, The Connection.
Yeah,
I think that's fascinating because it always does fascinate me how the musical streams have developed and evolved from other kinds of music. Sometimes music you wouldn't even think of necessarily. Do you take nonfiction submissions for your publishing company, or is that something that basically it's just projects maybe that come up that interest you that you're doing?
I'm open to those submissions. I've not received any, but this, a lot of what we do is just sort of like, hey, I've got this book. You want to check it out? And that's how we wind up working with some people, because I'm not super formal about things like that. So if somebody has a nonfiction book that it should lean towards something to do with horror or punk rock or transgressiveness, the cinema transgressions, similar things like that, I'd be totally open to that, and I would love to take a look at it and possibly publish it in the future. So yeah, I'm always open to hearing about new projects. Let's see, we got another question here. Which do you find more difficult to publish, anthology versus novel/novella? I don't think either one of them are particularly difficult. But with the people I've worked with, they've made things very easy. I mean, I'm working with great people. Just to mention them again, Tommy Clark, John Baltusberger, Paula Busuzzi. Jeremy Lowe has been a frequent contributor to our anthologies and our magazine. And so far, everybody, Marceline Block has been in both the first two issues and the upcoming third issue. Everybody's very professional. They send me really well put together submissions. So far, neither one of them has been particularly difficult. I think the first anthology we did, To Be One With You, an anthology of parasitic horror, that was the most difficult, just because I hadn't done anything on that scale before, and so there's a lot of trial and error. But the novels, novellas, it's the same amount of work, as far as editing, taking the time to read and reread and kick things back and forth between me and the authors. It's basically the same, and it's a joy to do, so it's hardly work. Oh, I think you muted.
I muted again.
There.
Technology is not my friend. Okay, so the chat questions are a little behind us. So while we're waiting, you mentioned the old zines, which I remember when I first started writing. My first few publications were in those old, like, what do they call them? Saddle stapled, almost like little pamphlet type zines.
Fold and staple.
Yep, I remember them fondly. I was going to ask, and I guess it's a two-part question, because you write and you also publish. What's your favorite part of writing, and what's your favorite part of publishing?
My favorite part of writing is dumping all my nightmares out of my head. It's fun to dig into what has scared me in the past, and see if I can't freak out my reader with that. And also, there's just something just very satisfying in general about sitting down and just running my fingers across the keys. Like I've always loved it. Writing is all I've ever wanted to do since I was in second grade, and I read Treasure Island, and that book inspired me, and I knew that's all I ever wanted to do in my life. And so every time I get an opportunity to sit down and write, either at my laptop or in a notebook, or just taking notes on my phone so I don't forget, that's the best part. It's really fun. The best part of publishing is getting to bring something new into the world, because I love books, and to get the opportunity to bring something like The God Provides or Three Hits from the Holler or Blood and Mud into the world, that I'm the one that published those books, is very exciting. And it just makes me feel great when the copies come in. I get to hold it in my hand and flip through it again. And even though I've read the books, I still like to pick them up and like look through them again and read certain chapters. So, like I said, like I don't even consider publishing work so much as it's just an absolute joy to have these opportunities, get to work with these people and bring something new into the world that, it lit a fire under my ass, and hopefully it'll do the same thing to somebody else.
What about artwork? I think that, the way they say, like, the clothes make the man, I think the artwork a lot of times makes the book. You mentioned that you've just recently started including artwork in the book. Do you mean more than just the book covers? Do you mean interior artwork?
Yes. Actually, I got Tommy's book right here, and I'll show you an example. So, and my wife does, like I said, she does the majority of our covers. She's a fantastic illustrator. Oh, so this is one of the illustrations she did for The God Provides. And hopefully we can do a little bit more of that in the future. It's a time-consuming process, and we both have. I've got a day job, and she's got side gigs, so it's sort of a big thing because she's always working on something. She never doesn't have a project. But yeah, we've got an illustrated version of our anthology, Kids from the Black Hole, that's going to come out in the oversized 8x10 format, same as the magazine. So we're going to re-release that next year with all the illustrations that she did for each of the stories.
I like that. A couple of times throughout the day, we've been discussing different ways that the small press is thinking outside the box in terms of packaging the books and marketing the books and just getting new cool things out there that are like, you have to have a great story for the book to work, but just cool packaging type things. I think the small press has always been fantastic at thinking up new and interesting ways to package books. Do you have any other than the interior illustrations, which are fantastic, by the way? Any other kinds of packaging or marketing ideas that you've been thinking of trying?
We do make bookmarks. So if you order direct from us, you get a bookmark, and we make buttons. So you get free buttons with every order. Tommy, when The God Provide comes out, he went and got a bunch of stickers made and pins, soft enamel pens for the book. Bookmarks, magnets. Like he was really good at marketing and come up with little extras to put in the packaging and stuff. And he did a gift set where if you ordered the book from him, you got it came in a box with a wolf mask, the pins, the buttons, a print of the cover, a journal with his artwork. And so I'm going to be doing more of that in the future. That was such a great idea. It was a big success for him. He sold every one of the gift packs. I think he had 10 or 12, and they all sold. And people were very excited to get them, and they looked great. So we'll have more of that coming out in the future.
I love that idea. I think that's absolutely fascinating. So many publishers are coming on today and just talking about like really cool things that they're doing with their books, and it's really exciting. It's fun. You know, there's a real love for books, like a real joy in bringing people, you know, cool new horror, and I love to hear that. I think that's a fascinating idea that Tommy did. That's really cool.
Yeah, it was a blast working with him on that, and seeing what he came up with, because from the beginning, before we were even ready to go to print, I mean, he already had a lot of stuff lined up and a lot of great ideas, and so working with somebody who, you know, really has that down has been a good learning experience for me, and I have learned from the authors I work with. I learned because John Botzelsberger is a publisher as well, Madness Heart Press, and when he came on with Blood and Mud, I actually learned some things from him that made my books look better. And so things he taught me last year, I applied them to all my books and started re-uploading some of them, and they look so much better because of what he taught. So it's always cool to have you know, people with you that can teach.
Absolutely. And so you'd say then you're open to when writers, like when you enter an agreement with a writer that you're going to publish their book, that you're open to their ideas with that kind of stuff for marketing and publishing? Cool.
Yeah, because the artist is, you know, without the author, a publisher is nothing. And I want people who work with me, I want them to be happy. I want them to feel like we put out the best book possible. And I'm like that with the anthologies and with the magazine, because I've just had a couple conversations just today with authors asking about word count, and I tell them I'm not really worried about word count. I don't want you padding the story to get to a certain word count. I don't want you cutting things to get to a certain word count. Send me what is proper. You know, if you feel like this is the best version and it's 2,000 words outside of the word count, I'm not going to worry about it, because I want you to be happy and I want the best possible story to hit the market.
I think that's great. That's a great way to approach it, really. We've got about 2 minutes left. Is there anybody who has any final questions? We'll give you a couple seconds for the chat to catch up. But I mean, it's really great to hear. I mean, I think that's really cool that you're giving out book swag. You know, that's fun. It's really fun stuff.
Thanks.
Okay, it looks like that's about it. Thank you so much, Tim, for being a part of Buzz Book Expo.
Yeah,
this was really great, really great. A lot of fun to have you here.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, and good luck with stuff. Take care.
Thanks, you too.
Okay, folks, we are going to, for the last slot of the day, we're going to be doing a little presentation about BuzzBook and what we're hoping to do in the future. I'm going to have my committee members, Matt Wilderson and Summer Cannon, join me in about 10 minutes. And we are going to discuss all things BuzzBook. And you can feel free to ask any questions that you want to. I see that Efren, I'm sorry, I see that your question, the best way to buy books from St. Rooster Books. He left the chat, but I would say go to the website. And you can probably find the contact information for buying books there. Sorry we missed your question. I apologize. It was like within seconds, but anyway, hang in there, stay tuned, and we will be back in about 10 minutes, and we will be talking BuzzBook stuff. Hi, everyone. We're back. I'm bringing Summer in with us. So I want to tell everybody. Oh, and remember to take the ticker off. I was telling Matt, I have one job. One job is this ticker, and it's like it's the problem. Okay, so folks, what we want to do is we want to talk a little bit about BuzzBook Expo and what we would like to do in the future and where we hope it's going and what we hope folks can get out of this. I'm going to start with my committee members because you've seen enough of this all day. So Summer, how about you? What tell us about your experience with BuzzBook Expo and what you'd like to see it do in the future.
I'd like to see publishers really continue what they're doing. We've had some really great presentations from publishers today. I want them to understand that this is put on for their benefit, that, horror is such a broad term, especially when it comes to books and stuff. See how smart I am? This is why you're the face. But every horror publisher, every publishing house, even in the indie scene, they've all kind of got their own unique flavor going on. And I really enjoy seeing the publishers come on here and talk about what they love about the horror genre and what they look for and what they put out. And as a writer and as a reader, that's good information to know. I really would like to see just a continuation of what we've got going on, maybe grow it a little bit, but I think we got a good path going on.
I agree. I think one of the things that's been delightful is just hearing all of the cool new ways that people are packaging and marketing their books. What do you think, Matt? What would you like to see happen in the future?
I think we spoke about this a little bit in the back dealings of things, but,
in the back room of the BuzzBook
in the
Expo.
back room of BuzzBook. I wouldn't mind even seeing possibly getting some self-published authors in that are, because that above all things, like indie presses have a hard time with it as well. Self-publishing is even harder. So I don't know. I think it'd be cool to toss a bone to the little guy every now and then, maybe. And maybe next year we can get some self-publishers on and maybe even discuss the process, maybe even have a panel where people discuss how they get their books out there.
That'd be a good idea. See, we up until this point, we had avoided having individual authors per se, unless they came under the umbrella of a publisher, so that it wouldn't look like favoritism. But we have been talking, the committee and I, about self-publishing and what we could do to bring those books to people as well, to get them in front of the eyes of readers and indie bookstores, podcasters, reviewers, the whole 9 yards. Basically, for me, there's a couple of things. See, what we find interesting is each year that we do this, we learn a little bit more and find other new things that we want to try, new things we want to do, new things we want to talk about. I love the commercials, both from last year and this year. They're fun and they're interesting. It's something that I think that the publishers can then go ahead and use, in their own media. Matt has been wonderful in developing a lot of electronic swag, I guess. I'm not sure how else you put like JPEGs and things like that people can put on their websites. I'd like to do more of that. For me personally, because thank God for Matt and Summer, because they keep me on track. They keep me on schedule. I'd like to be able to offer the publishers, and this as two separate things here. I'd like to be able to offer the publishers a more comprehensive document about what they can do, what we have found works in the past, in terms of bringing in a lot more eyeballs on the books that they're talking about. What we found to be particularly helpful, maybe get ideas from them about what they would need and get, this information to them pretty much as soon as they agree to participate in BuzzBook Expo. So we're going to be working on a comprehensive document for publishers. And I'd also be interested in knowing, other than offering opportunities for all the different types of media and readers out there to participate in in asking questions, and what would they like to have. And we've had some good feedback, I think, here now that thanks to Summer, now that we have a website, we can make sure that a lot of this stuff goes up on the website. Information about the giveaways, which I'm going to run through again before we leave here. Information about the publishers and how to contact them. I thought that was a good idea. We could, start really utilizing the website more.
Yeah.
I think I do want to go through the giveaway for folks that may have missed it early on. We have a giveaway from Tor Nightfire. It is a book called The Last House on Needless Street by Catriona Ward. And if you are interested in being one of the 25 people that we can give this book out to, please contact us at info@buzzbookexpo.com with your name and mailing address, and we will get that out to you. And we'll make sure that, and please make sure, if you have indicated an interest so far, that you do email us and let us know.
Awesome.
What else should we tell folks? Do you have any questions out there for the folks still hanging in there? Do you have any questions about BuzzBook Expo and maybe ideas about publishers you'd like to see in the future that we could maybe get to come talk here? While we're waiting for the chat to catch up, I would like in the future, and this has been a goal since the beginning, since actually from last year, is that I think it would be interesting to be able to do something with international publishers. We've run into a couple of issues here. One of which is that the time zones don't always work for international publishers. The other issue is that occasionally there's a language issue, like language barrier. Some folks who are publishing horror are not comfortable with their own English. They're not comfortable enough to come talk to us, which, when we want people to be comfortable talking here, so it's been a couple of different things, but I would like to see that in the future. I would like to see a diverse publishing, diverse publishing panels.
Yeah. I think it'd be cool to see more panels too.
And that's another thing. That's a thing. It would be interesting to see panels. We'd have to, I think, look into the specifics of how big a panel could be, based on the green room limitations. But I think that would be fun. That would be interesting. We welcome feedback from the folks out there about things you'd like to see in the future. Efren has an idea. I want to pop it up on the screen here. Like you mentioned, a prior list of links to the publisher where we can buy, and books may be mentioned or shared in the chat at the beginning and every once in a while. I think that's a good idea. Ideally, if maybe we can get the lists of the books that people are going to talk about in the future, and we can run them maybe perhaps as a ticker underneath with the poor Matt. We're breaking his legs over here. But maybe we can, these kinds of ideas are helpful. So we're very much interested in what folks think, what they would like to see, particularly readers. If you're going to buy the books, I think that's a fantastic idea that we'll get a list of links to the publisher and ideally the list of books that they talked about during their presentation. So at the very least, we can have it up on the website. Like, these are the things coming out. That's a great idea. Do you have anything else, Summer?
I can actually do a lot of that on the website because there's going to be sort of pictures of the publishers doing their presentations, not video, but pictures. And below, I'm going to say what publisher this is, and I can go through and find out what books they talked about, and I can provide links. That's no problem.
Oh, great! That's fantastic.
I just wanted to, put it out there. This whole thing is still in its infancy.
Mhm.
We have big ideas for this that we do want to try and implicate down the road. So, we're open to any ideas. If anybody out there wants to see us do a certain thing as far as panels go or guests and stuff
Mhm.
like that, this is mainly for the publishers, because
Right.
that's the idea behind the whole thing. But within that, publishers aren't there without their writers. Sometimes they're not, and writers and the books aren't there without the cover artists and
Exactly.
stuff like that. I think it would be also cool to have kind of panels like that where cover artists kind of talk about their process and how they go about making covers and how it gets onto digital form. And
Oh, I think that'd be fun. Yeah, I think that'd be a great idea. I'd like to see. I mean, we can expand this ideally to talk about the processes of publishing and the different people involved in it. The different components of it. I think that would be fun.
Yeah. I'm gonna go back over here because now my
Okay.
legs are falling.
All right. Yeah. Poor Matt is. He's kneeling there. It's breaking his
my
legs.
haunches.
But yeah, I mean, we definitely want to expand it and try new things and really make this event as useful both to the publishers who are presenting things and to the audience out there who is watching it and may want to cash in basically on the cool things that we're talking about here.
And if you want to get in touch with us, if you have suggestions, on the website there is a contact form and it also lists our email.
Yes, definitely. And if you are a writer and you would like some basically some free publicity, you can always contact your publisher and have them talk to us about being part of next year's expo. We're definitely we're open to hearing. As I mentioned, that up until this point, we haven't had parameters in place for self publishers, but we're going to work on that. And but we're definitely we'd like to hear from publishers who would want to participate. And if you have an idea, like as Matt mentioned about like the cover artists, if you have an idea, maybe you and a couple of the cover artists want to come on and talk about the process of doing art for different publishers. We're definitely open to ideas, and we are working on having, as I mentioned, comprehensive documentation to help people in the future, to kind of guide the process in the future. Because I know sometimes publishers contact me and they're not exactly sure what we're expecting from them, but we're kind of open to new things. We found that if you're presenting the books that you're publishing, it seems to click better with people if you have the book cover, if you can show the book cover, and honestly, just talking about because we have writers and readers. We have book reviewers, we have podcasters, we have a number of different folks out there in the audience that are watching. So, and we also ideally, with you all as publishers, the audience of those particular publishers, we're definitely open to ideas that would make it as beneficial as possible for everybody involved.
Yeah, and we do have our, to-do list for next year specifically. We have, we've brainstormed quite a lot about where we want this to go, but we are absolutely open to suggestions from everybody because we can't think of everything. But I mean, we're happy to make this a collaborative effort.
Absolutely. And I do want to make sure that in case we run out of ideas and awesome things to talk about, I do want to make sure that I acknowledge Summer Cannon and Matt Wilderson and all of the effort and work they put into. They have done so much this year that it really has, in my opinion, elevated the event to something pretty impressive. And so I want to thank you guys. I appreciate it very much. And I'm looking forward to tomorrow. I think tomorrow's going to be fun. I do want to put out there to folks about the commercials, because I think that's fun. If you have other ideas about commercial type things that you think might be beneficial to run, contact us, let us know. We are recording the events, so your video segments will be available to anybody who comes across the channel and watches it in the future as well. And we're archiving for folks who are logged in. If you check the playlist, the events from last time, and I tried to scour and find anybody who posted their own commercials to their own channels. I'm trying to keep a log of anything Buzz Book Expo related in our playlist so that people will always have access to the recorded events. Do you have anything else you want me to relay, Matt, over in your captain's chair over there? I'm sorry, I keep making you get up and sit on the floor.
Get back on the floor again. This is what I got to put up with, folks.
I subjugate all to my will.
She thanks me, but she puts me through the hell. I got this over here, and I got summer burning my house down sometimes. So talk about a rock and a hard place. I just want to say thank you to everyone who came to see the show today, and thank you to all of the publishers that came. I learned a lot today, just of different things that publishers are doing that I myself didn't even think of doing. Like Paul and doing the little figurines and stuff. That's genius when you think about it, because it people love just getting little plastic knickknacks more than ever nowadays. And I think, if I had a 3D printer, I'd probably start doing that for my self-publishing books, but I don't.
I love that people are finding these fun ways. When St. Rooster Books was talking about the gift packages, I think that kind of stuff is fun, and I do think that we're seeing a comment from Tim that she could have talked about the art component. I think definitely next year, if she wants to do that, she's more than welcome. Yeah. I think I think the more we can offer to people in terms of information about what your publishing company is doing, I think that would be, Yeah,
and definitely reach out to us, Tim. If you want to snag a spot for next year, we can definitely pencil you in. I mean,
yes.
Even though we got one more day of this, if anybody wants to come back next year, just
absolutely
reach out and we'll have you on.
Absolutely. We like to give a first shot at people who've done this the year prior. So definitely, if you want to do it, if you want to, participate again, then let us know, and we will definitely have you on the list.
Yeah, absolutely. But yes, thanks for everybody who came.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
It wouldn't be an expo without you.
That's true. That is true.
So I do appreciate that. I'm going to go back over here.
Yes. We're probably not going to run all the way to 4. I think because we have spewed so much brilliance on all of you already. But
that's a nice mental picture, Mary. That's very nice. It's like we seized on everybody.
So much awesome. Can't take the reign of awesome. So thank you, everybody who's come. Again, thank you to my committee. You guys are fantastic. Thank you to all the publishers who participated. You were wonderful. This was really a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to the future, because I'll tell you, folks, we've got some really kind of cool things planned going forward for next year and the years after, and we appreciate all the support that we've gotten from you all so far.
And also, I'd like to point out, round of applause to you, Mary. This is your brainchild. You put this together. Matt, oh God. This wouldn't exist without you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Very true. Maybe even in the distant future, maybe even a physical place to do this.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
Yeah. Not this room.
It's a nice office, but I don't think we all fit in here. Okay. Well, thanks again, everybody. And we will see you tomorrow for part 2 of BuzzBook Expo Live.
Bye.
Bye.